Want to retire at age 55? Your plan will need this. Are you ready to embark on a journey towards retiring at age 55? Well, buckle up as we dive into the ultimate guide to making that dream a reality. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to retire early, live life on your terms, and follow your passions without the constraints of a 9-to-5 job? Well, if so, you're in the right place. If you're new to the channel, I'm Dawn, and I live my dream life of travel and adventure. I show others how to do it too, even if they're not confident about their financial resources. Hit subscribe if you want to know more about claiming your dream life without a boring or no retirement. Today, I'm going to cover the secrets to early retirement. And trust me, your plan needs these 5 things. And stay to the end, because the last one is the most important of all, and I promise no financial planner will talk to you about it. Let's start with finances, because that's usually the biggest concern in retirement. You're probably familiar with the FIRE movement. Financial independence, retire early. Now, I'm not a fan. It's a philosophy of extreme frugality, which ultimately is about scarcity, not abundance. I believe we all have the power to reinvent ourselves and generate an income whenever we want to. And I don't believe in an overly rigid financial plan. FIRE says you have to stay hyper-focused on the future, so you don't really live in the present, which robs you of the joy of living in the present. And you end up with a life that's unsatisfying if you're constantly future pacing, not enjoying today. Also, net worth isn't everything. There's plenty of unhappy rich people. So shooting for a net worth of, say, 25 times your annual salary is a goal, but to what end? Maybe that's why so many people abandon it. They have a lack of clear vision of what comes next. Okay, great, I have this big pile of money. I've also heard the FIRE movement defined as foolish idealist returns to employer, in part because that big pile of money that they thought was enough, they'd accumulated, may not be there as long as they think, with market fluctuations and so forth I'll talk about in a moment. So that big pile of money without more, I think, is just silly. And as I mentioned, financial wealth alone doesn't bring joy or happiness automatically. If you're familiar with FIRE, either now or maybe you followed it in the past, I'd love to hear your experience and feedback in the comments. I believe the retirement conversation should be focused on creating an income level that meets your financial needs and matches up with your desire for fulfillment, purpose, and legacy. How do we do it? By focusing on monthly cash flow, not the size of the nest egg. If we listen to the marketing messages and what other people define as our future, we're likely to be disappointed. The truth is, the retirement dream we've been sold is a fraud. And that's proven by a study by the Employee Benefit Research Institute that showed less than 50% of retirees reported being highly satisfied, and 10% said they weren't satisfied at all. Why? Because retirement, as it's been defined for us through these sexy and sophisticated marketing messages, is really unattainable and it's not enjoyable. When you hear the words retirement planning, what comes to mind? For most, it's money. There's so much more to it than that. If you're with me so far, drop a comment and let me know if any of this makes sense. Now, let's contrast the FIRE movement with my plan, the Escape to Paradise Wealth Blueprint. Now, I don't have time today to go into it fully, but I'll link to another video that explains it. It's an acronym, and it starts with ES, which stands for economic satisfaction, not financial security or financial independence, because I don't really think those things exist. Maybe they did at one time, but the world's changed. We're not living in our grandparents' world or faced with their retirement. The world's changed so dramatically. Global markets are intertwined, the financial industry is heavily manipulated, and the economic rules have changed. For example, at one time, the price to buy a house used to be equal to 1 year's salary. So if you made $20,000 a year, you could buy a house for $20,000. Now, we all know that's far from true, right? That's a distant memory. Our purchasing power in terms of real wages has declined dramatically. So if you're chasing financial security, you're likely to be disappointed. I know I have. In fact, it's why I went to law school later in life. I was chasing that financial security after a divorce. So I became an attorney. I didn't find it by working some high-income professional job. I found it elsewhere, which you can learn more about by checking out this video. Instead of financial independence, let's flip the script. Let's start with economic satisfaction. Now, the word satisfaction means enough, and Americans particularly are culturally conditioned to want more, more, more. We're never supposed to be satisfied. And it's this mindset that fuels the entire US economy. We're constantly striving to earn more money so we can buy a bigger house, buy a new car. It's an economic treadmill that if you're on it, it's a showstopper to retirement, period, and forget about early retirement altogether. Instead, determine what type of lifestyle will satisfy you. Then you can calculate the monthly cash flow that lifestyle will need to be funded. Now, starting with the end in mind might seem confusing at first, but it's actually quite simple. But if you stop there, it'll create a massive problem. As finances are just a small sliver of retirement, there's so much more to it. So now we're going to dive into the 4 other important strategies most retirees never learn until it's too late. Do you have a plan for a new you? Stay with me as we uncover the next step on your journey to retiring at 55. Now, most of us know what success looks like in our career or business environment, but success in retirement's kind of fuzzy. Let's face it, there's no manual for midlife or retirement, how we plan these things. Nobody hands it to us when we reach a certain age. And your retirement dream of that vision lying on a beach or playing golf can quickly pivot to a nightmare when you fall off the cliff of insignificance. The I'm on vacation mode quickly gives way to the grief phase. And most retirees feel a loss of life purpose because their purpose has been so intertwined with their work life. So many mourn the loss of the relationships, the structure, the power, the identity, and the purpose that they get from work. Not all people go through this, and if you know what's coming around the corner, you can prepare for it. The good news is there's some simple strategies to ensure that the rest of your life is the best of your life without feeling lost and insignificant. I call it Be, Do, Have, and I explained it in this video. That brings us to the 3rd part of your early retirement plan. It's a big one, and the happiest people on planet Earth are doing it. This is exciting. The Harvard study of adult development was launched in 1938 and is the longest scientific study ever conducted on happiness. It traced people from their teenage years into old age. Dr. Robert Waldinger, who now runs the study, said, when we asked people to look back on their lives when they were in their 80s, we said, what are you proudest of? What do you most regret? And what people were the proudest of, almost always, was their relationships. People didn't mention the awards they won or the money they made. They said, I raised healthy kids. I had a good marriage. I mentored people at work. The study reveals that the happiest people make investments in things beyond themselves. Turns out, making a difference in the lives of others makes us happy. How will you serve? How will you make a difference? What's in your Make a Difference plan in retirement? What will be your legacy? Not only will you be helping others, but you'll reap huge benefits. But hold on, there's even more goodness connected to this piece of the puzzle. Stay with me to know how you can elevate your retirement experience to new heights. Social connection is a fundamental human need. It's as essential to our survival as food, water, and shelter. Throughout history, our ability to rely on one another has been crucial to our survival. We humans are social creatures, and our associations matter, so we must choose them wisely. We have a primal need to feel safe, to be our true selves, to be loved and supported without judgment or criticism. With technology, we're more connected now than at any other time in history. Our souls yearn to belong, to be connected to something bigger and to each other. Dr. Robert D. Putnam, in his book, Bowling Alone, The Collapse and Revival of American Communities, says that if you belong to no groups, but you decide to join one, cut your risk of dying over the next year by 50%. 50%! Research shows loneliness and social isolation increases the risk of premature death as much as smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day. It's associated with a 29% increased risk of heart disease and a 32% increased risk of stroke. It's associated with increased risk for anxiety, depression, and dementia, and increased susceptibility to illness. This is no joke. The bottom line, we all need loving, healthy relationship and a community of belonging for optimal health. Unfortunately, ageism abounds. It's said to be the last culturally acceptable bias. In the past, retirees have relied on various institutions for support, be it religious, fraternal and service organizations, veterans groups, and extended family. But many of those have disappeared or greatly diminished in society. Your early retirement associations and relationships are not only vital to your physical and mental well-being, but also your overall level of happiness. It takes proactive effort on your part to replace those work-life social connections. Good relationships don't happen by accident. An investment is required, and your financial plan needs a Find Your Tribe or community plan, which takes us right into the fifth, and in my view, the most critical part of your retirement plan that financial planners will never talk with you about. Stay tuned as we uncover the next critical component of your early retirement plan. The adage, prevention is better than cure, rings particularly true when discussing healthcare. Optimal health isn't just about treating illnesses, but preventing them from occurring in the first place. What good is early retirement if you're not healthy enough to enjoy it? I urge you to reject the common narrative that's often sold when you're planning for retirement. Continuously declining health, fragility in old age, and eventually dying in some assisted living facility connected to tubes with unfulfilled dreams. I reject that picture. I believe in a world where on your deathbed, you never look back and think, what if? Now we know healthcare costs for retirees can widely vary depending on age, health status, geographic location, and the coverage options. But several studies have given insane estimates for retirement healthcare expenses. Here are just a few. Fidelity Investments' annual study on healthcare costs estimates that the average couple retiring at age 65 in 2021, we know it's gone up since, would need approximately $300,000 to cover healthcare expenses throughout retirement. The Employee Benefit Research Institute, EBR's Retirement Confidence Survey, in their 2021 survey says a 65-year-old couple needs approximately $368,000 for a 50% chance of covering their healthcare expenses throughout retirement and $600,000 to have a 90% chance. According to HealthView Sciences Retirement Healthcare Cost Index report, a healthy 65-year-old couple retiring in the United States could spend over $662,000 on healthcare expenses throughout retirement. Whoa, these are staggering figures. Of course, their disclaimer is these are just estimates. Actual costs may vary based on individual circumstances, and that's where your plan comes in. Because I believe the best healthcare plan is good health. And this directly relates back to strategy 3, your Do Be Have plan. And it severely impacts your financial plan, as we just described. The very best investment you can possibly make for retirement is your own good health. The truth, we dig our graves with our teeth, and we don't move nearly enough. Preventive healthcare is significantly more cost-effective than curative. Chronic diseases such as heart disease, diabetes, and cancers are not only debilitating, they are incredibly expensive to treat. And they're largely preventable. In the US alone, chronic diseases account for a whopping 75% of healthcare spending, amounting to trillions of dollars every year. You have the power to prevent this. Good health isn't about just avoiding illness, it's about enhancing your overall well-being and quality of life. Healthy individuals live longer and have more productive lives. If you retire at age 55, don't you want the good health to enjoy your life to the fullest? In fact, many want to retire at age 55 so they can retire while they're in good health. Now, some people may need to retire early due to health issues. You still have power if that happens. In fact, my friend Debbie is an example. She's a nurse who retired due to a Parkinson's disease diagnosis. Now, there's no cure, there is medication, and the cause is not completely understood, but they know the brain produces less dopamine. So Debbie and her husband Lee retired on a Caribbean island, just like we did, and their new job was to keep Debbie happy, so her brain would produce more dopamine. She paints, she learned to play the bongo drums, salsa dancing, she even performs in a band now. They have a very active social life, a large network of close friends, and in fact, Debbie's grateful. But for her diagnosis, she wouldn't have retired. And now she and Lee are living their dream life in retirement. I interviewed her on my podcast, which I'll link to in the description. The point is, investing in good health not only is the most cost-effective approach to healthcare, it's also the way you improve your quality of life, increase longevity, and productivity. This smart, sound investment can not only save you tons of money, but it will empower you to enjoy a longer, happier, and healthier life. Financial planners don't discuss this, and there's 3 things they'll never tell you. I have that in a different video. And there you have it, folks. The key components of retiring at 55 laid out before you. But remember, it's not just about reaching the finish line. It's about enjoying the journey along the way. So start dreaming and planning to make your retirement dreams a reality. Thanks for joining me on this adventure, and until next time, dream big and act on it daily. I believe in you.